What is happening? I didn't see that. Where's Payton? I don't see him.
Oh my God! I don't see his parachute.
He's gone. All of a sudden, he was just gone.
Hello everybody, welcome back to Screenstars. I'm here today to bring you my review for the 2022 horror film Hex, a film that is directed by Chris Johnson and Andy Malchiodi, and it stars Kayla Adams, Matthew Holcomb, Brian Roberts, Eric Alperin and Chloe Berman. Now the film focuses on a group of skydivers, 6 friends in particular. Well, initially it's 5 friends, and Kayla Adams' character, Sarah, is kind of new. She basically jumps on her own. She's always really jumped on her own. But she decides to kind of join this group of 5 friends. They go for a jump, start getting on, and then the kind of leader of the group suggests that now that there's 6 of them, they should try a jump called the Hex. A skydive where you need 6 people, and it's a very difficult jump to do, and it comes with some sort of a reputation. They all agree, they pull off the Hex, and then suddenly one of them disappears, and then the rest of them appear to be cursed. The rest of the film is the characters then dealing with this and trying to figure out what has happened and how they can escape their own fate. Right, what are my thoughts on Hex? Well, essentially, this film is a weird combination of Point Break and Final Destination, heavy on the Final Destination. It's not a terrible film, however, it is seriously flawed. But what kind of keeps you watching and keeps it somewhat interesting is the intriguing concept. I've never seen a horror film pitched like this before, like a group of skydivers, you know, that do this cursed skydive, I suppose, that leads them to them all kind of being cursed afterwards. It's an interesting idea. The problem is with much of this film, the first half an hour or so of this film is just essentially these characters skydiving, doing different skydives, with some really dull conversations, with some fairly uninteresting characters. They then pull off this Hex jump, which is more skydiving, essentially. It all kind of, you know, goes wrong. One of them goes missing, disappears literally in midair, which I think it would put you off skydiving for life. But no, they're back out there the following day skydiving. And their justification is, you know, we need to get back on the horse. And guess what? That jump doesn't go well. This is one of those films where it is absolutely jam-packed, full of stupid decisions and massive gaping plot holes that just don't make sense. And the explanation as to what has happened might sound good, but it makes absolutely no sense. I mean, you do get some kind of an explanation at the end, but it's absolutely bonkers and it makes no sense. And if you sit and analyse it, you could tear it to pieces. You know what I mean? It's almost like someone came up with a good idea on paper, and the concept is very interesting, but they couldn't follow it through with a satisfying ending that made sense at all. This basic concept here is a group of skydivers do a cursed skydive, ends up kind of killing them one at a time. And that's the idea that someone's come up with, and it's a decent idea, but it doesn't really stretch itself out to a full film, because, like I say, the first 30 minutes of this film was just full of skydives, and, like I say, uninteresting conversations with fairly uninteresting characters. And then a big chunk of the film is essentially Final Destination-like characters getting taken out one at a time in different ways. And some of those don't make sense at all. There's a character that, you know, gets blown up when something mysteriously turns on the gas, and you're telling me you wouldn't smell the gas. But I don't know. It's a massively flawed film. It's one of those films, the more you kind of dig under the surface, it just gets really, really ridiculous. However, in regards to performances here, I think for the most part, the central performances are of a good standard. I think Kayla Adams, who carries the film, does actually a very good job. She's a competent actress, and and she looks good on screen, and she's obviously a decent quality of actress. So she does well. Some of the other actors in the film do okay, but they're not of the standard of like carrying a film sort of thing. There's nobody in this film that you look at and just think, well, they're just terrible. Everybody is of a decent level here in regards to performances. It's an odd one. It's not an easy one to recommend because it's, like I say, it's a bit of an oddity. If you like lots of skydiving, then you might like this film. If you like skydiving and horror, hey, this might be your perfect film. I just think this is a little bit of a mishmash that doesn't make an awful lot of sense. It's full with... I think it's jam-packed full of unnecessary dialogue and scenes that just feel like filler. And it's one of those films that you can't help but watch and think, this would probably have been better as a short film in an anthology story, because it just feels like there's just so many scenes just forced into this film that didn't need to be here. She's got the usual, worst police of all time in this film, worst police detective of all time. So it's jam-packed full of lots of unnecessary dialogue and scenes. It's got fairly uninteresting characters, but the concept is interesting. So if you like Final Destination films and that concept, there may be something here for you to enjoy. For the rest of us, I think this is a below average film, which is why I've given it a 4 out of 10. So thanks for watching, everybody. I hope you enjoyed this review. I hope you found it useful. I will, of course, be back with more reviews and content on the channel very, very soon.